All right, hi. It's actually Sunday night here. Oscars are on, so this is going to be hopefully a short movie because I love watching the Oscars. Um, okay, so what did we do this past week? This past week we introduced budgets as a process, a product, and a management tool. And in that first discussion forum, most of you talked about this notion of budgeting as a process. And just very quickly, right? Um, if you're not involved in the budgeting in the process by which budgets are created, you're really not invested in whether or not the the organization or the program or whatever the budget's about, you're not really invested in whether or not uh, the actuals come in on budget. Um, so, to the extent possible, you want to involve everybody in the budgetary process that has a role or a role in whether or not the budget is met. So, um, that's just it's common sense, but it really is amazing how often budgets are handed to people as opposed to created with them, right? Um, okay, and the readings last week in the Bowman and Deal, just talk about how um, budgeting really is a political process because typically you don't have enough resources for all of your wants or needs. Therefore, there's a negotiating political process by which decisions are made to allocate scarce resources. Okay? Um, okay, and in the second discussion forum question, we sort of use the New Stage Theater as a way of summarizing or um, crystallizing discussions we've had in the first couple of weeks of the course about the financial structure that needs to be in place in your nonprofit in order to make good, sound financial decisions. And those four parts are highlighted in the New Stage Theater because they are absent. The first one, right, is a sound organizational structure so that those who are legally responsible for the financial well being of your organization are involved actively in those financial decisions. Clearly, in New Stage Theater, the board that is to be setting policy and ultimately responsible for the financial well being of the organization basically does not perform that leadership role. It's usurped by Gene, the executive director. The second component of a sound financial structure is good policies and procedures. So you know how, where, and when money is being spent and how it should be spent. Um, that then leads into the third component of the financial structure, which is good record keeping and financial reporting. And what was clear in the New Stage Theater is that that second and third component were really weak. Uh, Many of you picked up on the fact that they basically had two sets of books and they didn't match. So clearly, the policies and procedures for recording and for making financial decision allocations was not good, and hence the record keeping was really pretty sloppy as well. And then fourth, and this is a really good one as well, right? Is that the fourth element of a sound financial structure, that is. The fourth one is that your financial strategies and your operational strategies are synergistic and complementary. And the thing that jumps out in the case study, right, is that they decide what plays they want to perform long before they do their budgets. And so you have operational decisions being made totally um, independently of any financial decisions. Hence, they end up at the end of the year with trying to scramble for the money to pay for the plays that they decided they wanted to put on at the beginning of the year. Okay, so just keep that in mind that yes, you as an individual, as a leader of your organization can be looking at all these numbers and figures and trying to make good financial decisions, but if you don't have a good financial structure in place, you can be rest assured that you will be making bad decisions and your organization will not be making the best financial decisions possible. Okay? That leads us then into this week's lesson, and it has to do with the differences between cash budgeting and accrual budgets. So, well, no, how about cash budgets and operating budgets? And the main difference goes back to the notion of whether you do accrual accounting or cash accounting. And I'll let you, do the readings and make the distinctions there. That's what the first discussion forum is about. The second one, and I want you really to make sure you pay close attention to the second discussion forum this week, because it's on a short 5-page or 6-page, maybe a 7-page. It's short. Case study that's in the Zietlow book, CTC Cash Crisis, and I want you to really pay attention to what's going on and what is causing the problem. In this case study, essentially the executive director isn't paying attention to his cash and his cash flow. And I want you to, with that hint, obviously, and we're talking about cash budgets this week, with that hint, I want you to look closely at the case study and understand why they're having such cash problems. This is somewhat reminiscent of Menotami's story. In that instance, again, they tried to maximize mission without looking at the financial implications of the operational decisions and financial decisions they were making. Same thing holds true here. So try to understand the source of the problem. Okay, it's clear they have a cash problem, but what's the source of the problem, and what operational and financial decisions have led them to basically financial ruin at this point? They're not quite there, but they're almost there, just like Menotami. Okay, and then just lastly, this week there really is the budget allocation assignment that I said was last week in this video of last week, but it really is this week. Okay, so just be aware of that. All right, now back to Oscars, and I'll see you online.